So far from Chava being seen as the root of all evil, the ultimate temptress, Chava is seen as the mother of all life. Now, certainly, when we read the story topically, that we have an axiomatic rule that we always have to read on the level of pshat, and that always remains true. But it's not mutually exclusive from understanding the deeper strata of this story, and in fact, every word of the Torah that can be understood on at least 70 different levels in 70 different ways. And so Chassidus really zeroes in on the fact and asks some logical questions about the fact that God created this tree of knowledge as Eitz Hadat Tov V'Ra in the first place. If actually God didn't want them to eat from it, then why create it? Why place it strategically? And why bring their attention to it in the first place? So Chassidus cites the verse from the Psalms, Nora Alila al Bnei Adam, but this was actually pre-planned. Okay, that in fact, this was God's ultimate plan. And Chava discerned as much. Mm-hmm. She understood that there was more to the mission of humanity than simply reacting in default fashion to their state of oneness and unity with God. And in fact, she saw this pattern in her own birth, shall we say, or in her own having been fashioned in a certain manner. Because what happens is that the Talmud tells us that Adam and Chava at the beginning are two aspects of one dimorphous Adam, the first Adam being. So they're created as one. Then God says, Lo tov heyot Adam levado. I don't like this style. I'm changing my mind, as it were, right? Quote unquote. And God basically amputates them from each other. And then we have this idea of God bringing Chava to Adam for the first time. So God first creates them as one, then separates them, and then says to them, I want you to become one flesh. So the equation is 1 followed by 2 followed by 1. And Chava discerns that this is the microcosmic template for the macrocosmic goal. And that is that their initial oneness in the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Chava are surrounded by only the reality that is God. There's only God consciousness. All evil is extrinsic to their experience. It's all kind of contained in the Nachash and the serpent. But Chava realizes that there's so much more of a contribution that they could make. There's so much more God wants. God actually wants to be in a relationship with us. But a relationship requires volition. It requires choice. So as long as they are one with God, just like she was one with Adam originally, she couldn't choose Adam, just as they were not really in a position to choose God. Only by eating of the Eitz Hadat, which, yes, created a great rupture. It changed everything because now their God consciousness was eclipsed by the consciousness of the self. And that's what Chassidus explains Da'at really means. Consciousness of the self, or said differently, the way in which everything we experience, everything we learn, everything we interface with becomes part and parcel of who we are. It's funneled through our psyche. It's funneled through our emotions. It's funneled through our experience. So now there's a fragility to our life. We become mortal. Childbearing and work would become fraught with pain and tension. At the same time, simultaneous with our new fragility comes a completely new strength. And that is our ability to arch upward of our own volition to embrace God and to become one flesh, as it were. And so Chava, far from being the villain, is the hero. She understands this, and she gives Adam to eat as well. She understands the ultimate plan, the unfurling of history. It's not so much about the physical senses, much as that sense of self and the ability to see both God and something other, as it were, which creates the tension and the ability to choose. creates a true relationship, not one that is superimposed, not one that is foisted from above, but one that is chosen organically. And that's what we've been doing ever since. We've been slowly through our laborious spiritual overtures, choosing God little by little, recreating the Garden of Eden, which will only be revealed in all of its splendor in the Messianic time. But this will be a garden that we created rather than a garden that God put us in that we were just told to watch over. The Shekhinah was kind of catapulted upward because of this event. Mm-hmm. And we've been doing the work of homecoming for a long time. It's a reciprocal work over time. And this reciprocity is what Chava was after. I mean, this is the most, I think, audacious Jewish theological idea that the human being, a finite being, here today, gone tomorrow, so transient and ephemeral, could actually affect the eternal, omniscient, omnipresent creator of the universe. And understanding what a privilege that is, that's what it's all about.